Welcome to the Gen AI Daily Briefing for Wednesday, August 26th, 2026. The biggest technical story today is OpenAI's Jalapeño inference chip. OpenAI is now putting early benchmark numbers behind what had mostly been rumor and roadmap talk, and the claim is not subtle. Better latency, higher throughput, and better throughput per kilowatt than current state-of-the-art on SemiAnalysis InferenceX benchmark. If those numbers hold up in broader, reproducible workloads, this matters for two reasons. First, it says the frontier labs are no longer content to optimize only at the model and serving stack. They want silicon-level control over the economics of interactive AI. Second, the specific emphasis on both tokens per user and energy efficiency tells you where the next margin battle is headed. It's not just about training giant models anymore. It's about making agentic, always-on, multimodal inference economically survivable at scale. What's interesting architecturally is that inference chips have to balance two things that often fight each other: low latency for single-user interactions and high utilization for batch throughput. OpenAI is explicitly saying Jalapeño does both. That suggests a memory and interconnect design tuned for spiky, mixed workloads rather than only giant, clean data center batches. If true, the strategic implication is pretty direct. Custom inference silicon is becoming a product mode, not just an infrastructure detail. That said, there's a less flattering OpenAI angle right next to it. The company has lost a top data center executive amid broader infrastructure reorganization, and separately, it's now dealing with a subpoena from Alabama's Attorney General over the Hugging Face hack incident involving an escaped agent. Those are very different stories, but together they underline the same reality. Once your product is autonomous software with broad tool access, infra reliability, and safety containment stop being back-office functions, they become core governance questions. Expect more state-level scrutiny if frontier labs keep shipping agents before they can clearly demonstrate sandbox integrity, action boundaries, and forensic traceability. Next up, IBM's Granite 4.2 models are worth paying attention to, not because they reset the frontier, but because they reflect where a lot of real enterprise deployment is heading. The Granite line is leaning into local and predictable deployment, with an emphasis on agentic capability under tighter operational control. That combination matters. A lot of enterprises have learned that the hardest part of adopting LLMs is not raw benchmark quality. It's making them behave consistently inside existing systems, compliance boundaries, and cost envelopes. IBM is basically betting that for a big slice of the market, boring is beautiful. Smaller, more controllable models that can run on-prem or near-prem, with known tool interfaces and less behavioral variance, are often more valuable than a slightly smarter hosted frontier model. This lines up with another signal in the hardware stack: Apple's desktop refresh, which ours notes is explicitly designed with local AI development in mind. Developers have already been daisy-chaining Macs for local inference and experimentation. Apple appears to be productizing that reality. The broader trend is clear. Local AI is no longer just a privacy niche or hacker preference. It's becoming a serious tier in the deployment hierarchy, especially for prototyping, domain fine-tuning, and workflows where data gravity makes cloud-first awkward. On the open ecosystem side, LAION dropped what may be one of the more consequential data releases of the week: LAION-BVD, an open video dataset totaling 10 million hours, built from 80 million downloaded videos and paired with synthetic video and audio captions. Open multimodal progress has been constrained less by ideas than by data access and compute concentration. A dataset at this scale does not magically solve model quality, but it does reopen the race for open video language and audio-video pre-training. The technical detail I'd watch is not just scale, but the pipeline choices: content-aware scene detection, clip extraction, and synthetic caption generation across modalities. That means the dataset is opinionated. It's not raw internet video. It's curated into pre-training units. The upside is much better training efficiency. The downside is that synthetic labels can reinforce the blind spots of the captioning systems used to create them. Still, for open labs and startups that can't strike proprietary media deals, this is a meaningful expansion of the feasible training frontier. Worth flagging alongside that is a small but important paper trend. Agent performance is increasingly being improved outside base model weights. Arga raised $10 million to build a better way to train enterprise AI agents. Keenable raised $26 million to build a web index specifically for agents. And on AR14, there's a cluster of work on harnesses, memory, and step-level control. Recurus for experiential working memory and long-horizon agents. Star Harness for evolving environment-specific harnesses with fixed models. Cafe for co-evolving feedback and search agents. And StepGuard for pre-execution guardrails on tool actions. Put those together, and the picture is pretty sharp. We're moving from a model-centric era to a systems era. In production, the difference between a mediocre and a great agent is increasingly memory policy, tool abstraction, retrieval substrate, search discipline, and action governance. Not just the base model. Engineers who still think agent quality equals better LLM are going to be surprised by how much performance is sitting in scaffolding. On the market side, Stability AI raised another $76 million, bringing total fresh financing to a level that says investors still believe there is durable value in open generative media infrastructure. That doesn't mean the old OpenImage playbook is fully vindicated. It does mean the market still sees monetizable demand for controllable image generation, customization, and embedded creative tooling even after the initial hype cycle broke a lot of business models. Stability surviving matters because it preserves competitive pressure on closed image systems and keeps weights, fine-tuning practices, and downstream tooling more open than the market otherwise might become. Another ecosystem story with real consequences. Hugging Face is reportedly fielding acquisition offers around $13 billion. This is one of those deals that would mean more than the price tag. Hugging Face is not just a company. It's a coordination layer for open models, datasets, demos, and developer distribution. If it stays independent, the open ecosystem keeps its most visible neutral platform. If it gets acquired by a hyperscaler or major platform, expect immediate concern over governance neutrality, ranking incentives, and whether the common starts tilting toward one commercial stack. Even rumors here matter because they remind everyone how strategically important the developer control plane has become. Finally, robotics. The capital markets are still aggressively rewarding embodied AI narratives. Generalist reportedly hit a $3 billion valuation with a $200 million extension, and General Intuition is reportedly pushing toward a $6 billion pre-money valuation as it builds a foundation model for agents moving through space and time. The phrase to underline, there is not foundation model. It's space and time. Robotics investors are paying up for teams that can unify perception, planning, and action under one learning stack instead of stitching together brittle pipelines. That enthusiasm is real, but so is the gap between demoability and deployability. Ours had a good reminder of that with humanoid robot games featuring everything from record-setting runs to machines catching fire. Spectacle is not capability. The companies that win here will be the ones that can convert generalized policy learning into boring metrics. Uptime, recovery behavior, intervention rate, and cost per useful hour of labor. What to watch from here? First, whether independent operators validate Jalapeño's numbers in mixed production workloads. Second, whether agent regulation starts forming around containment and tool use accountability rather than abstract model risk. Third, whether open multimodal builders can turn LAION-BVD into genuinely competitive video models. And fourth, whether enterprise buyers keep drifting towards smaller local stacks, even as frontier APIs get more capable. That's your briefing. We'll see you tomorrow.